What up, folks? Long time no see. Now, you all know that I'm a big fan of trashy reality TV, including the VH1 series Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Well, this season, they are trying to tackle a certain social issue through their cast member Spice, the Jamaican dancehall artist. Some months ago, she decided to pretend to bleach her skin in order to make a point about colorism in the black community and colorism in the entertainment business, how darker-skinned black women are all too often looked down on, systematically disadvantaged, etc. She used it as the centerpiece of her recent song, Black Hypocrisy.
I was told I would reach further if the color of my skin was lighter. And I was made to feel inferior, cause society said brown girls prettier.
But I've identified a form of hypocrisy when it comes to this whole issue that's a little bit different than what Spice was referring to. What do I mean? Well, for example, a YouTube series of which I'm a big fan, The Grapevine, held a discussion, a whole episode, about the practice of bleaching around the world and the ramifications of it.
Jamaican girls, them love to bleach. Bleaching, they make them brown and pretty. It's not good for them. Mash up them beauty.
And I remember noticing that a lot of the folks in that discussion, beautiful black women, all of them, were decrying the practice of bleaching and saying you can't just chalk up bleaching to individual personal tastes. People aren't just making these decisions individually, they are conditioned psychologically to hate their own dark skin. They've internalized a lot of racist stereotypes, etc., etc.
We also have to resist trying to individualize something that is a far more systemic issue, because we have bleaching here, but in Japan they sever a nerve in their calf so that they have more Anglo looking in their calves, and yeah, there's eye surgery. This is an affliction that is at the intersection of racism and sexism, and we can't have this discussion outside of having a greater discussion about beauty culture and the purpose of beauty culture.
Now, that's a very real phenomenon, but what I noticed is a lot of the same folks making that point also had straight hair. And while it's possible that due to some racial mixture in their backgrounds they just have naturally straight hair, I think it's probably more likely that they do what a lot of black women do, which is to straighten their hair, whether chemically or temporarily. Now, I want to make one thing clear. Okay? Women, in general, including black women, have every right to engage in whatever practice they want when it comes to their bodies, their looks, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. I don't for a second want anyone to think that I'm questioning or impugning black women's right to wear their hair however they want. Their bodies, their choices. Cool, fine by me. But, by that same token, isn't it at least fair to ask, if black women have the right to straighten their hair or wear straight hair weaves or wigs, without anyone questioning it or criticizing them for it or accusing them of selling out or trying to suggest that they're only doing it because society has brainwashed them into thinking that that's the only way to look attractive, then why don't other black folks like Vybz Kartel or other black people who've bleached their skin over the years, from Michael Jackson way back in the day all the way up to Lil' Kim today, why don't those black folks have the right to bleach their skin without anyone criticizing them or telling them that they're selling out or that they've been brainwashed? What's the difference? Either way, you're still changing a key, prominent, physical feature of yours, one that is associated with the social construct of race, in a way that makes you look more similar to Europeans. Plain and simple. Another Love and Hip Hop Atlanta cast member, Young Jock, made that same observation in response to an argument that Spice had on this first episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 8 with several other cast members.
Everybody in this scene is black with nappy hair up under that hair, braided back. I'm betcha. Whoa. These people, your hair is not in its natural state. You pressing your hair to look like a European. Society told her that that's the way to look.
So why is it okay to do that when it comes to your hair texture but not to your skin complexion? Really? What is the difference? I don't pretend to have a definitive answer to that question, and at the end of the day, I do, like I said, recognize each individual person's right to rock whatever look he or she likes. But if we're going to put black folks on blast and under a microscope for changing the complexion of their skin, and if we're going to do it not just because of the medical risks involved, but specifically because we feel like it constitutes internalization of racism and self-hate, then I think we should be a little bit more consistent about that and apply that same logic and have that same energy, so to speak, when it comes to the whole practice of black women straightening their hair. What's good for the gander is good for the goose.
Love the way me look, me love me pretty black skin. Respect you to me strong melanin. Proud of me color, love the skin that I'm in. Gun racism, demolish colorism.
taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.